Hello and welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl, and here we are with another series. This time it's focused on Warhammer the Old World. So for those that aren't aware, Warhammer the Old World is a return to the original lore and world of Warhammer Fantasy Battle before Age of Sigmar, and with it brings essentially a new game for the tabletop, but is a return to the style of Warhammer Fantasy Battle with rank and file. Now, this has been announced as being in creation right now with Games Workshop. There is currently no release date, but it certainly is expected either by the end of 2023 or the first half of 2024. So in reality, not that far away. Now, in terms of what this series is looking at, it's looking at those models that are currently available to buy that could well be expected to be part of the army books and army lists that will be used in Warhammer the Old World. Now, we do know there are new models coming, and we'll look at that when we come on to each of the factions. We'll be looking at the factions in alphabetical order, starting with those that are currently in the narrative, and then looking at those that are outside of the narrative, though we do know there are at least rules coming for every faction when the game is first released. Now, why am I doing this? Well, for people like me who are old Warhammer Fantasy Battle players that probably still have existing armies, maybe gathering dust somewhere, who haven't been keeping up to date with what's available on the web store, it's a look at what you could still buy to flesh out the armies that you already own. If you're new to Warhammer Fantasy Battle, then it's a look at, if you were going to start an army, what an army might look like, what the models might look like, and give you a chance to maybe dip in early. If you're like me, I'm a very slow painter, so this gives me a chance to buy models in advance of the game being released and have them painted and ready to play when the game does fully release. And as well, not many people are sat there with, £300, £400, £500. We don't know how big the armies are going to be to drop on an army on day one. So this does allow you to then spread the costs over buying the units over many, many months. And sort of you can buy a unit, paint it up, and next month buy a unit, and you're not having to find the money all in one go. Now, I should say everything that is in this series are personal opinions only. I have no inside knowledge. I have no relationship with Games Workshop in that way, other than being a fan of Warhammer Fantasy Battle and the lore of that game. And everything in the series is correct at the time of recording only. And I have based a lot of what I'm going to talk about on the last remaining army book that was published for the factions. Many of those will be 8th edition, but there are a few like Chaos Dwarfs and Bretonnia that didn't have 8th edition army books. Now, before we get into it, other miniatures are available. You can find, obviously, the old classic miniatures that are no longer available to buy from Games Workshop on eBay, for example. You've got other manufacturers that you can use as counts as, such as DS Vault with their sort of Crusaders and Templars and so on, Kings of War. There's also those 3D printer opportunities out there, whether you own a 3D printer and you're looking for the files, or whether you're looking for someone to do it for you. That's an option, but always remember that non-official Games Workshop models are not usually allowed to be used in their stores, at gaming tables, or in the tournaments. Also, when you're looking at the Games Workshop models on their website, check the bases. Some of these will have round bases, some of them will have square. Now, we know that they're going to be square bases, but we also know there's going to be some base size changes, so please keep that in mind when you're buying the models. And again, if a lot of times the bases you don't really care if you're just playing at home or playing in a local club, but if you are playing in tournament, you will need obviously the correct base sizes. But if you're not too fussed about making sure they're fully correct, then you've obviously, consider the fact that when you're playing a rank and file game like Warhammer Fantasy Battle was, and like the old world will be, movement trays will be a really important part. So you can mitigate a lot of the base issues with movement trays. Also, check the material. Some people really don't like fine cast, so there's still quite a lot of the old models that are dotted around that may well be fine cast, so check that out versus plastic. And if you are looking at stuff off eBay or whatever, and it's forge wheeled, that of course will be resin, so for example the Chaos Dwarves. And overall, given what we know about Warhammer the Old World, the timeline it's going to be set in, I would avoid buying named characters unless there's a nostalgia thing. There will surely be rules, even if Games Workshop doesn't do it. The fan base will provide rules for some of those characters that you might have played in the past. You can consider the timeline and maybe take a gamble on, if you look at some of the longer lived characters, whether they be demons or whatever, even elves, for example. Maybe those characters will make an appearance. But with a new game, with a new timeline, I can certainly expect that we might see a few new named characters put in. Though, of course, as always, you can use these named characters as accounts as. So if you had Karl Franz, the Emperor of the Empire, for example, on his Griffin, there's no reason you couldn't use him as a general on Griffin if that option was available. So that is essentially the intro of why we're doing it and some of the considerations that you need to consider while we go through each of these videos. But without further ado, let's go and look at the next faction. So the next faction on our list here is the Warriors of Chaos. Again, as we've done with our previous videos, we're utilizing the 8th edition army list and the latest army book for the faction as our basis for this, and we're keeping with the Lord's Heroes core special, whether that is included or not in the old world army list sort of building process. So starting off, special lords. Well, you can certainly say that Chaos Lords timeline could be kind of irrelevant because they last for centuries. But as with all special characters, I certainly would expect named characters to be new in this setting, and I wouldn't necessarily be jumping to get any of them now. And if you did, it would be a risk. However, that being said, Archaon is available, but his mount is very different from the setting. So the mount he has now in Age of Sigmar is very different. So I haven't really included him as in the Warriors of Chaos list there. You had Galrauch, which is a two-headed dragon, and Kolek Sun Eater. But there are 3 that are currently available. You've got Sigvald the Magnificent. This is a brand new model for Age of Sigmar. It is fantastic looking miniature. Again, one that I'd pick up just to paint. And there's no reason why these 3 special lords, including Valkyr and Village the Curseling, Valkyr there right at the top of the screen, you couldn't use those as a Khorne Chaos Lord or a Slaanesh Chaos Lord, for example. Valkyr is I love her backstory. I love her, the principle of her as a miniature. And I'd actually love her miniature to get redone at some point, like Sigvald's, not currently. But again, you could easily pick them up as, say, count as Chaos Lords. Though I don't expect them to be as they are named in the setting, or certainly from what we know at this point. But there are 3 other generic lords available to pick up as well. There's the Chaos Lord on foot for £18. You can pick up on Manticore for £37.50, and that's the image that you see right in the middle at the bottom. And you can also pick one up on a horse as well at £37.50. You can also get a Chaos Sorcerer Lord for £12 on foot, and also on the Manticore, which is the dual kit based upon the one you see with the Lord in the middle there at the bottom. Again, £37.50. And then there's the new Demon Prince kit, which is pretty cool. That's at £50. And again, A Chaos Lord on foot and on horse, I think, is pretty safe. The Manticore remains to be seen if that will be a mount option or not. And a Demon Prince, well, you can make that look however you want because it's a Demon Prince. So, again, pretty safe with any of those Lord kits. So, looking at the heroes, there were 4 special heroes. Wulfric the Wanderer, Throg, Festus, and Sylar Anfingrim. There are 2 still available, Festus and Sylar Anfingrim. Festus, again, is something you could potentially use as a Nurgle Lord if you wanted. He's there for £18. So remains an option, but again, I'd stay away from the special characters unless, like I say, you really want it and you're willing to use it as it counts as. Heroes, you've got the Exalted Hero there, £22.50. Very nice miniature. And one worth picking up. Exalted Hero. There's always going to be some type of hero, Lord, War of Chaos, so very safe. And then you've got a nice Chaos Sorcerer there, known as a Magister, for £12. And again, would fit within a Tzeentch faction pretty nicely. In terms of core units, plenty available. In fact, everything but the Forsaken. You've got Chaos Warriors. They're a new kit, 10 for £37.50. On the pricier side for 10, but very nice looking modern plastic kit. You've got the older Chaos Marauders and Chaos Marauder Horsemen. Marauders is 20 for £27.50 and 10 for £35 if you're on the horses. Both, serviceable. I could definitely see them being remade at some point. But valid kits for an army list and could absolutely see them being included. Chaos Warhounds, you get 10 of those for £20. And then you've got the Chaos Chariot you see there, which is almost in the middle of the screen. That's £27.50. Not a bad miniature. Fits with an overall Chaos aesthetic and potentially worth picking up. I could definitely see Chaos Chariots being in the game in the army list, particularly again if it is for sale on the website. However, as with any of these type of sort of single entity units, you're more. There's always more of a risk. With all of this is my personal opinion, and so all of this is you're taking a gamble whether it's going to be there or not. But is it much of a gamble to say there's going to be Chaos Warriors and Chaos Marauders and Chaos Warhounds in an army list? No. Is there a slightly increased chance of a gamble with a Chariot? Yeah, a little bit. And then is there a massive gamble when you're looking at named characters? Yeah, huge. So that's kind of where it sits. Special units, again, plenty available. Warriors of Chaos got tons of units still available. You've got the Hellstriders of Slaanesh. They were £22.50. And you get 5 of them. You get 5 Chosen for £37.50. Again, pretty pricey for 5, though you're not expecting to take too many of them. And these are a new plastic kit as well. You've got the Chaos Knights there, 5 for £40. Chaos Ogres, you could use the Ogroid Therodons. You get 3 of those for £40. And Dragon Ogres, you see there in the middle at the very bottom of the screen. That's 3 for £36. Chaos Trolls and Chimera, not currently available. Though, of course, we don't know what's going to come back into the range, if any of it. You've got the Gore Beast Chariot still available at £27.50. Same rules apply to the Chariot from before. Is it or is it not going to be in the list? And then you've got a Chaos War Shrine there at £40. Again, another single entity item, but I could absolutely see a Chaos War Shrine being part of an army list and a kit that's not that old, that's still on sale and therefore expect it to be in any future The Old World list. Finishing up with the rare units, the only thing currently not available is the Hell Cannon. Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, bottom left there. He's available right now for £45. There is a bit of an older kit. You've got your Chaos Giant, known as a Chaos Gargant, £42.50 in there. Chaos Spawn, 2 for £32.50. I mean, always worth picking up Spawn. You can't imagine there's Chaos without Spawn somewhere in there. Skull Crushers of Khorne, 6 for £65, pricey unit, but it's Juggernauts of Khorne. It's Khorne warriors riding giant Juggernauts of Khorne. It looks cool, and I have to expect they were going to make it in some Warriors of Chaos list somewhere. You've got the Slaughter Brute not pictured and the Mutalith Vortex Beast. They are a dual kit for £55, and you can see the Mutalith Vortex Beast bottom right hand side there. Will those be in or not? Well, they're both still for sale, and they're both in plastic, and they're not that old a kit. So yes, quite possibly, though they do stick out as something that's a bit less iconic to original Warriors of Chaos. So it'll be interesting to see if they get included or not. Again, a slightly higher risk, I think, than taking something like the Spawn or the Skull Crushers, for example. And that brings us to the end of the Warriors of Chaos for the Old World in terms of what kits are still available from Games Workshop's website. I hope you found the video useful, and if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't know, give it a thumbs down and let me know why in the comments down below. And as always, if you want to see more content, then please hit that subscribe button. It's free for you to do, and it means a huge amount for me. So thank you for that in advance. You've been watching The Ghost Owl, and I'll see you very soon.